Wonderful. Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the West Haymarket JPA to order. To my left is Councilwoman Tammy Ward, and to my right is Regent Tim Clare from the University of Nebraska. I am Lyrian Gaylor-Baird, and this is a public meeting subject to the State Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted in the back of the room. The order of business today will be that our Chair Casey will read each item on the agenda, and then staff will approach and provide a presentation on each item. Following that presentation, we'll take public comment, and each speaker is invited to state their name and address before making their comments, and to note that testimony on each item is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. And with that, I'd ask Casey to please call the first item.
First item is WH 22-10, resolution to approve an agreement for engineering services between the West Haymarket JPA and Olson for semi-annual inspections in accordance with the West Haymarket Redevelopment Site North and South O&M plans, survey consultation, and limited on-call soil sampling for a sum not to exceed $13,320.
Good afternoon, Chris Connolly, City Law Department, 555 South 10th Street. This is a contract that we've been doing annually for many years, collecting soil samples to make sure that we are maintaining compliance with the environmental plan that was approved many years ago. And so I think we've switched from Plenish to Olson in the last couple of years, but otherwise the tasks and the responsibilities are really the same. And so this is, like I said, is a pretty standard agreement. Frank Ulark, I believe, is here, or was here anyway. Anyway, in any event, if you have any questions, I would be happy to take them. Otherwise, we would be asking for approval.
We'll take a motion on item 3. Sorry, did you move it? Yeah. Yes, moved by Claire, seconded by Ward. Any further discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0.
Before we proceed, Casey, did we have any minutes from the previous meeting that we need to approve, or is that not a part of today's agenda?
Because this is a special meeting, we're not doing minutes or finances today.
Okay, thank you. All right, please call the next item.
Okay, the next item is WH 22-11, resolution of intent to make a grant of funds to the Lincoln Youth Complex in an amount not to exceed $4,500,000 from the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency Surplus Fund to reimburse the Lincoln Youth Complex for a portion of its costs, to design and construct the Lincoln Youth Complex sports fields.
Again, Chris Connolly, 555 South 10th Street, City Law Department. This is a matter that has been under consideration for many, many years in the area, and I think there are a number of people here today who will testify to the desire to include these ball fields in the community, but to have some contribution from the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency. And so this resolution here today represents what has been requested and indicates payments of $1.5 million over the course of 3 years, beginning in April of 2023. And on the drawing you'll see here, this represents the current footprint for the JPA. And as you can see, it encompasses the area to the north up here by First and Cornhusker, which is where the new ball fields would be. And so this is all part of it. Now, there's also the amendment to the facilities agreement and the rules of governance that we cover in the next agenda item. This represents the resolution that is the contribution itself. And with that, what I would ask, with the indulgence of the board, is that knowing that there are a number of people that do want to talk, one of them was Doug Emery, who's a former board member and council member, who would like to be here today. He was unable to make it. However, he did give me a statement that he would like me to read into the record, Mayor, if that's okay. With regard to this, he says, I'm sorry I'm unable to attend today's JPA meeting, and I appreciate Chris Connolly entering this into minutes for me today. I am in favor of the request for $4.5 million to help with youth baseball fields in the Haymarket area. This has been a goal for Lincoln's youth baseball for a prolonged period and has been a part of the sports facilities plan for the area. It will be beneficial to youth baseball in Lincoln and to the hotels and eating establishments. Youth sports have been the quote, vacation spot, unquote, for many families since at least the early 2000s and a boom for local economies. Not every city can have an amusement park, but can have a sports complex. I am sure it will be done right, and it is worth the investment. The last thing I guess I would like to do, again with the mayor's, the board's indulgence, is I know some of the people here today would like to also express some thoughts and about Tom Lorenz. And Doug Emery was part of that as well, and if I could continue with the letter that he wrote with regard to that. I wish everyone had experienced the opportunity to spend time with Tom Lorenz. His passing is a huge loss for Lincoln's entertainment market, and an even greater loss as a visionary for what Lincoln could be. I must admit that when I joined the city council, I had mixed emotions about a new arena in Lincoln. I wasn't sure Lincoln needed it, could afford it, and would benefit from it. One meeting with Tom convinced me that I was so wrong. Tom had a unique ability to listen to concerns and to use his experience to allay them. His enthusiasm was contagious, and it was incredible to watch him convincing people night after night how important it was for Lincoln to build the arena. I can hear him saying, quote, if we want to be a big city, we have to act like a big city, unquote. He also understood what we needed in the way of an arena. How not to make it a sports arena that also held concerts, but rather a concert facility that doubles as a sports arena. They were never exclusive to Tom. His vision did not end there, however, and what he did with Pinewood Bowl was phenomenal. As a lifelong Lincolnite, I could never have envisioned what it has become. Thousands of people watching name acts in an outside venue in a climate like Nebraska. That takes vision. It is my hope the JPA will find a significant part of Pinnacle Bank Arena that can be appropriately named after Tom Lorenz. I hope I will be able to take my grandchildren there someday. And when they ask me who Tom Lorenz was, I'll be able to tell stories of nights at meetings that started less than pleasant, that ended up with a better understanding of what an arena would do for Lincoln, and how a large majority of voters' minds were changed because of Tom's enthusiasm and knowledge. I am glad I was able to go along for the ride. I will never see the arena again without remembering Tom's part in getting it built or the wonderful entertainment he brought to Lincoln. You were so right, Tom. Doug Emery, former JPA member. Last thing I would like to do is express my own thoughts on Tom's passing. I worked very closely with Tom for the last 5 years, really, but dating back 10 years. I remember the first time he came in to my office about 2012, he was looking for a contract for some kitchen equipment as the building was going up. And so it was just such a pleasure to work with him. And as Doug Emery alluded to, he had great vision. And he was always telling me about the things he wanted to do with the building and how it would benefit the community and in bringing in the acts. And he was so giving of his time and trying to work with various groups in the community to get them to use the building for various purposes. And we've had the vaccine. The vaccinations that were taking place is just one example of some of the things he had tried to do. And so I'm certainly going to miss him personally, but at the same time, I know we're all going to move on, and some of the staff from SMG are here, and I know they miss him as well. But he was a great friend to everybody and a great asset for the community. So with that, if you have any questions now about the resolution, I'll be happy to entertain them.
No. Any questions?
I totally support the resolution, and I've had people ask me why baseball and why
And softball.
and softball. Sorry, but why have this? And And I said, first off, I think I know we told people during the vote that we were going to continue moving north from the arena once we got the arena under control. And that's why the footprint was expanded. I don't know how many years ago that was expanded. I think when we first set this up, it was expanded to include out to First and Cornhusker, with the idea that those baseball fields would be right there towards the north end of that that development. Some people would say, why do you want to spend the money? And if you do the math on tournaments, and you have a team of 10 kids, and maybe that would be 5 rooms, and you've got 6 parents and coaches' rooms, and you stay for 3 nights, which is, I've traveled all over the Midwest for baseball tournaments, and you take that then times an average tournament would get 30 to 40 teams, but that's 1,300 rooms. And then you take that times, maybe you host 4 to 5 tournaments, and all of a sudden now you're north of 6,000 rooms at $100 a room or $75 a room, plus food and entertainment. It is a huge economic development tool, and I would argue that it will be very, very profitable for the city of Lincoln, and will go towards significantly reducing the debt from the bonds. And I would also add that that this is a great move for the baseball and softball communities. I can't speak to softball, but when you have to play the state USSSA baseball tournament, and you play the championship games, and you go to Council Bluffs because there's no fields available in Lincoln or Omaha, that's flat out crazy. And so we need to get those tournaments back in Lincoln, back in Nebraska, and these baseball fields will be top-notch and will enable us to do that. So I wholeheartedly support it for those reasons, and it's also what we said we were going to do. I can say that, and the people that were involved with the JPA from the outset will agree with me because they were involved in those similar discussions. But that's what we said we were going to do prior to even the vote. So I'm glad we're finally fulfilling what we told people we were going to do.
Good.
Any other questions?
All right.
Okay.
Talk about Tom now too.
Are we going to take some testimony first and
Oh, yeah.
then do
Yeah,
discussion maybe?
Yeah,
on
I
that?
believe there are some
Okay.
other people that would like to testify.
All right,
on this.
we'd be happy to hear from the public as we move forward through this meeting.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Hers, 1817 St. Andrews Place here in Lincoln. And it's my pleasure this is the first time in 5 years that I've been in front of the board. And the last time was in 2017. I am the treasurer of the Lincoln Youth Complex, job that I took on about a little over a year ago. The entity was formed shortly before I became the treasurer. I'm here mainly to answer questions. I would like to point out that this map, if we can show that, the bottom of the map shows that this map was created in 2010. So it clearly was intended to be, I think right there is the date, that area by First and Cornhusker was part of the project right from the get-go. I did the financial modeling for the JPA, and although there was not a specific line item because we obviously didn't know what the project was going to entail, we've anticipated this project. And shortly after I retired from the city in 2010 and did some consulting work, this project was brought forward, and I did some financial modeling with various amounts being contributed by the West Haymarket JPA. So I think it's been anticipated, and and I certainly would not recommend this project without if it at all jeopardized the financial position of the JPA, and I'm very comfortable that it won't. In fact, the question that might come up is whether or not that would extend the ability, the time that it takes to pay off the debt that we're starting to amortize. And although without any fiscal impact, it might have extended the payoff by a few months, because of the new taxes that are going to be generated, it will not extend that term. So I think that's an important fact also. Be glad to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions? Thank you for your service. Are there any others who'd like to testify on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. You didn't ask for public comment on the previous resolution, but it is listed.
My apologies.
Is this soil where the sports complex is going to be? Or is it just the general?
This is for the general, around the, closer to the arena, actually, in the West Haymarket area.
It's not this special
No.
place?
Correct.
Okay. And this is something that you do how often?
We've been doing it every year.
Once a year?
We do this contract about every year, but we've been having to take these soil samples every year.
Okay. And then that the EPA looks that over?
EPA doesn't, but city staff does to make sure it's still in compliance with the plan.
Okay, with the checking with the EPA?
Well, they don't really need to do that now, but if there are numbers that start to get wrong somehow, then we have to report that.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions about the next one, too.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Where will this money be coming from? Out of what? Out of the general fund of the JPA? Or which part?
This will be coming out of the surplus fund, which is one of the funds that the revenues are put into.
Okay, is that like occupation? Is that the Fed's donation?
Lynn Heaton, City Finance Department. Yeah, among the revenue sources available to pay the city's or the JPA's contribution is the occupation taxes. That is correct. But there's a number of other, but that is the main one.
Okay, what other ones?
We do have rents. We have small amounts we receive for other purposes. The DEC, or the District Energy Corporation, charges to the customers who receive energy and heating, cooling in the buildings in the JPA area.
Okay. In 10/4/18, Brandon Kaufman confirmed that there would be deficits at the JPA in 23 and 24 due to increase in bond payments and capital improvements. So we're almost there.
Well, what I'd say is this, and you attended the most recent budget meeting for the when we set the JPA's budget, and the financial position of the JPA is very strong right now. Cash balances are very strong, more than enough to cover the next year's annual debt service payments, operations and maintenance, and other costs. So we're in a very good place. Recovered very strongly from the pandemic. Year-over-year increases in the average annual increase in occupation tax revenues is back to pre-pandemic levels. So it's just a very strong position right now.
Okay, so this is not true anymore?
There is estimates for occasionally where years there'd be a deficit, just an annual deficit, but the cash balances are such that it's very strongly and can handle those small amounts.
And so $4.5 million is not going to make this to be true?
No, we've modeled it, and the cash flows still look very good.
Okay. Will that be presented at the next regular meeting?
We would next consider do a budget update at the quarterly meeting. Yes.
Okay. So I will ask that question again.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward and testify on this item? I recognize this testifier.
Good afternoon. This seems a little strange, but
There's a lot on that side.
for the record, my name is Chris Beitler, and I'm here today as a private citizen to make this most relevant to start with. I certainly am in support of the particular project that you have before you, but I suppose the aspect of it that really makes me feel the best is the fact that so many elements of the community are once again cooperating on big projects, on making big differences, working out their smaller differences. And it seems clear to me that the leadership in the city is just greater than ever. And carrying forward in the best interest of the people. I also showed up to be sure the regent was still doing his job. He's been around a long time, but I must say it appears to me he's still going strong. And I thank him for that service, as I thank the other two of you for your services too. Everything seems good to me. Finally, I feel almost like it's a personal privilege and not strictly permitted, but I do want to say on the record someplace along the way how strongly I feel and have felt about Tom Lorenz and what he did for the city, how he adopted this city when he came, how he adopted to his profession as he came and learned how to operate arena-type facilities, and not only that, but knew about everything that was going on in the industry. So in terms, after we got our financial picture in place, and after we knew the construction company, and during that time, then Tom started putting everything together with the construction company and with the financial people, having further refined and advised us and encouraged certain types of construction for the arena. And in the end, I think because of him more than any single other person, the arena turned out to be the success that it is, and able to do the things, for example, that it's doing today. And so in the end, it's I think, more a tribute to Tom than to any other single person. So I thank you for the opportunity just to say that on the record about Tom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Okay. Seeing none, why don't we do it during discussion? We take a motion on this item.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Claire, seconded by Ward, and now I'd ask for discussion and comments.
Okay, so I had the privilege of working with Tom since the very start, and there was, certainly Mayor Beitler, and then if you remember, Jane Snyder we were the three that made up the initial JPA, and it has been a long time. Mr. Mayor, I've been up here, my hair's gotten whiter and whiter. But I didn't know Tom when he first started coming around the arena or coming around the construction and the discussions about it. I didn't know him at all, but then once we did start talking and getting to know each other, we quickly became, I think we became very, very good friends. We'd get together away from the office and just talk to learn about each other, and he was a great man of great integrity. And you know, I would challenge all of us, because I've heard a lot of great comments about him, and I'm making them here too, that I would challenge all of us, rather than waiting till somebody dies to tell him that, we should tell him now. You know, tell people now how much we appreciate them and respect them, and appreciate what they bring to the table, so to speak. I also appreciated about Tom his ability. You know, I could call him, and sometimes he'd text me before I called him, because I mean he was that responsive to people, but I would call him, and I'd say, here's what I need. What do you think? Can we make this happen? And I know it wasn't convenient for him, and I know it wasn't convenient for you guys over there, but I think he'd be a guy that, I love people that can say, you know, get me to yes. I need a yes out of this. Get me there. And he would do that, and he would deliver. Every time I asked him for something, he would make it happen, and I really appreciate that. And of course, when he couldn't get it done, he couldn't get Chancellor Gold backstage to see Elton John, you know. But he was. But when he could make it happen, and it's so easy in our society to say no, I can't do it. And you know what? That's the way it is, and we get that. But Tom didn't look at the world that way. Tom looked at the world that I'm going to get it to yes, and I'll make that happen for you. So the last time I saw Tom was after our last JPA meeting, and we were standing, I guess, out that way, out on 10th Street, and he said, hey, I don't know if you've heard, but I got cancer. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, I've got cancer. I've got to go in for some chemo. I think it was right in his throat, by this area. And he said, so I'm not going to be around for a little while. And if you call me or text me or email me, and I don't get back to you in quickly like I usually do, understand why I'm going through this. I said, Tom, I mean, I'm not going to call you or text you or email you. You know, you get yourself healthy. And I said, and I'm going to add you to my prayer list. And he said, you know, I appreciate that, and I feel confident in what's going on, but I also know where I'm going. And that was really neat. And I miss the guy. I miss the man. I miss seeing him come walking in with that stupid Cubs thing he had on. You know, he wears that Cubs. And I hate the Cubs, too, by the way. I was a Reds fan. But he will be missed. He made it happen not only at the arena, but at the I'm losing my Pinewood Bowl, and what he accomplished in terms of the artists he brought, and how he made that. I remember I think it was Cool in the Gang was supposed to play at Pinewood Bowl, and it was going to be raining, and he moved everything inside for the fans that were coming to watch. I mean, he did it for all of us, and we were so lucky. Lincoln was so fortunate to have him at the helm. So I miss the guy, and I do think I don't know if Pinnacle Bank Arena, as Emery was saying, or if Pinewood Bowl or someplace, but there's no doubt in my mind, someplace in that footprint he needs to be recognized and have something named after him, because he was a mountain of a man that did so much for us.
Thank you. I would echo what Regent Claire said, and I didn't have the pleasure to work with Tom professionally as long, but knew him personally. And my biggest regret was, to Regent Claire's point, not doing those things when people are living. And that was when he scheduled Pentatonics to come to. They're coming to PBA in December, and I was so excited. They're one of my favorite groups, and I wanted to text him right away and say, "You're my hero." And I ordered 2 tickets, but I never did that because I thought I was too busy that day to send Tom a text, and that's really one of my biggest regrets. But one of my funniest stories, and Mayor Beitler, I don't know if you're going to remember this, but when Paul McCartney was in Lincoln, I ran into Mayor, I was not on the city council then, but I ran into Mayor Beitler at Zoo Fest, and I said, I'd really like to meet Paul McCartney. And Mayor Beitler says, oh, you would you? And so I walked away and we chatted. I knew that was a no, and so I ran into Tom Lorenz socially after that, and I said, I'd really like to meet Paul McCartney backstage, and he said, oh, you would you? And so I struck out twice, but I just would add my gratitude to everything Tom did, and he was a true professional and serious about his work, but so kind, and we will really miss him. So thank you for the opportunity to say a few words.
I want to share in the acknowledgement that Mayor Beitler gave to Tom about this item on the agenda. As you mentioned, this was always envisioned as an extension of what the JPA would be able to contribute to and to build, but we wanted to make sure the arena got successful and was grounded prior to that. And Tom is such a huge reason for that success, as are so many people in this room. But Tom's leadership from the get-go, and then, of course, through unprecedented times, transitioning what we thought was going to be a center for celebration and music and basketball into a place where we were saving lives. His ability to adapt, his leadership skills to bring his team along and adapt this facility for completely different purposes than were ever envisioned when people voted for the arena was another just huge feather in his cap and a credit to him, and what a good thing for our community in terms of our health and safety. So boy, his leadership was broad and deep. Thanks to him, we can be very comfortable with the financial position of the JPA as we vote on this item. And thanks to him, we have a better city and a safer city, a healthier city, and a much more vibrant city. Minus his spirit, I wish he was still here to be a part of it. And I appreciate all the comments, and glad that folks from SMG are here today, because I know that they valued him greatly. We had the chance to chat right after Tom passed, and learned that they would send people who were being promoted to be managers like Tom. They'd send him to Tom for training because he was the best. We were lucky to have him as long as we did. All right, with that, please call the roll on item 4.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. The next item is WH 22-12, resolution to approve the First Amendment to the Second Amended and Restated Facilities Agreement between the City of Lincoln and the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency to add the Lincoln Youth Complex Sports Fields project and to delete Exhibit A attached to the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency Rules of Governance and replace with amended Exhibit A.
Okay, so this is sort of the nuts and bolts of being able to facilitate the resolution to contribute the money. So the facilities agreement between the JPA and the city needs to be amended to include this as a project, and so that's what this resolution is intended to do. We would then take this same resolution and go to the city council for its approval and have it added. Now, the reason why the rules of governance are included in this is that the list of projects was also attached to the rules of governance when they were done many years ago. And so it's just a matter of making sure that the documents stay consistent with each other. And so other than that, at some point we will probably try and sort of consolidate some of these things and maybe put them into one hopefully simpler named document instead of the First Amendment to the Second Amended and Restated Facilities Agreement. We will try and find an easier name for that. But in any event, if any of you have questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
We would now take any public comments on item 5. Would anyone like to testify on item 5? Okay. Seeing none, I would Look for a motion.
Second. Excuse me.
By
Second.
Claire, second by Ward. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mayor. I was remiss to thank the team, the baseball team. That's not the right name for it, but Don Hers is treasurer of that partnership group. Boy, every time I thought we were done with it, they'd be calling up to talk to us one more time, and you were all set to go right when the pandemic hit. So I just wanted to send kudos to you and Brad Carell and Rich Clausen and the Chamber, Jeff Mel, and others. And I should have mentioned that before, but thanks for that opportunity now. I'm glad at the amount that you settled on is appropriate. So thank you for your work on that, Don, and to the others as well. Thank you, Mayor. That's all that I have.
Claire, are you good? Yeah, I'd also just like to thank the Youth Complex, Lincoln Youth Complex organization for all their work and partnership to bring this opportunity to Lincoln so that kids can be the home team, more kids can, more young people can play baseball and softball so that we can help support our local economy and be a destination for others. This is a wonderful opportunity to build something great that will provide an enduring opportunity and legacy here in our community. So thank you for everyone who's helped make this happen. All right, Casey, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0.
Okay. We're now at the end of the meeting, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ward, second by Claire. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes,
Ward?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
we are adjourned.